Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and in today's video I'm going to be doing my weekly update on the rounds of checks going out next month, the possibility of stimulus checks on top of those, and then I'll be going over some other stimulus related news. But first, before I dive into the update for today, if you do enjoy the content in today's video and would like to see other videos like it, make sure to hit the like button as it really does help me out. Also, definitely feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Okay, so diving right into it today, just recently, the IRS announced that it is continuing to distribute stimulus checks to Americans who are eligible, and another 2.3 million payments were issued just last week. The majority of these payments, of course, were going to those who received less money than what they were entitled to in earlier checks, or to those who had to file a tax return in order to be eligible for the payment. At this point, the IRS claims to have sent more than 169 million payments worth a total of $395 billion. So if you still haven't received your third stimulus check of $1,400, or the first two that amounted to $1,800 in total, it's definitely not too late to receive yours. Most likely, if you haven't received it at this point, it's solely because the IRS doesn't have your information on file. In order to give them your proper information, you would have needed to have filed a tax return within the last 2 years, so go ahead and quickly file a free tax return, even though it would be late at this point if you haven't already done so. In other stimulus news, letters are currently being sent out to Americans who are expected to be eligible for the upcoming $250 or $300 advanced child tax credit payments. In this letter, it's basically letting people know that they may be eligible for the monthly payments, and if they wish to receive them, no action is needed. However, if they wish to opt out of the payments for whatever reason, then there will be instructions provided by the end of June on how to do so. Personally, there's no real good reason I can think of on why you would want to opt out, unless you'd rather receive one lump sum payment at the end of the year, or next year I guess, but at the same time, it'll definitely be helpful for many families to receive some of the extra money on a monthly basis. At the beginning of next month, in July, there should be a portal on the IRS website where you can update any information that you need to, such as the amount of dependents that you have, your salary, and so on. So if you had a newborn at some point this year and the IRS would know about it, since you wouldn't have included them on your tax returns, then you can update that information through the portal. If you don't have any information to update and you would like to receive the monthly payments, again, there's no action that you need to take in order to receive the payments. These payments, just as a refresher, will be $300 per child under the age of 6 and $250 for children ages 6 to 17. The age qualification will be determined by the age of your child on December 31st of this year, so if your child is still under the age of 6 at the end of this year, you will be receiving $300 monthly. However, if they turn 6 on December 31st, for example, then in that case, you would only be eligible for monthly payments of $250. The first payments are expected to be delivered on July 15th and delivered monthly for the rest of this year. The other half of the payments will then be delivered next year as soon as the IRS processes your tax returns. As more information comes in, I'll definitely make sure to continue filling everyone in on those details. Also, just real quickly, before we move into some more news, if you would like to earn a couple of free stocks from Webull, with the combined value being up to $2,300, please feel free to claim those free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. Once you open your account, you will receive your first free stock, and then if you make a deposit of at least $100, you will then receive your second free stock, this one being valued up to $2,000. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to our next story reported by the Boston Herald, where apparently 1.24 million stimulus checks still remain unspent from the first round. In total, that's around $1.7 billion not used and spent in the economy based on the first round of $1,200 checks. This is also not money just sitting in lingering bank accounts either. In reality, they're from people who either refused to accept them, paid them back, or didn't even cash the checks that they received from the IRS. Pretty crazy, considering the times that we're living in. According to the Boston Herald, California led the country in unspent checks, followed by Florida, Texas, New York, and Pennsylvania. I'm curious, what does everyone think about this story? Do you believe that perhaps these checks should have been more targeted to lower income groups just because it seems that some people may not have really needed them? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. This, of course, leads me to my next story where some members of Congress, all Democrats, are still urging President Biden to include a fourth and fifth stimulus check in their next spending bill. The White House has been sending mixed messages, with Press Secretary Jen Psaki at one point last month saying that it will be entirely up to Congress to make the decision. She said the White House will play no part in the push for a fourth or fifth stimulus check, and if Congress wishes to do so, it'll be completely up to them to include one in whatever bill that they decide to pass. Of course, she also followed that statement up by saying the direct payments are not free, which, of course, as we all know, they are not. In reality, taxpayers are the ones funding these checks, so while they can certainly help stimulate the economy and help many American families out in a time of need, they also certainly have their downsides as well. On the flip side of things, just recently at another press conference, Psaki was once again asked about President Biden's position on a fourth stimulus check. This time, she said that Biden would be happy to hear from a range of ideas on what would be most effective and also most important to the economy moving forward. This, to me at least, seems like a polite way of saying that Biden really isn't interested at all in sending more direct aid to Americans, but just doesn't want to say it straight up. So at this point, unless more members of Congress get behind a fourth or even fifth stimulus check, it looks like the only payments that Americans will be receiving, in the short-term future at least, are the advanced child tax credit checks. With that said, we'll just have to wait and see. In other news, just last week, a bipartisan deal based around infrastructure was reached by 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats. Even though you would think such a bill would be likely to pass, considering that we have members on both sides of the aisle behind the deal, it looks like Democrats are going to be the ones this time shooting it down. This is mostly because their agreement still falls well short of the $2.25 trillion that President Biden would like to spend, and also because they believe it imposes a mileage tax on electric vehicles, in addition to indexing the gas tax to inflation. While there are many disagreements on how a spending bill like this one should be funded, the biggest disagreement, on this bill at least, surrounds the overall price tag. Republicans, on one hand, want to limit the spending under $1 trillion, with some of them not wanting to spend any more at all. Then we have the Democrats, on the other hand, looking to spend upwards of $2.5 trillion. So the two sides are obviously still pretty far apart. Because of this, more than likely, we will see the Democrats go with the do-it-alone approach, where they pass whatever bill with only Democrat votes. Of course, like I mentioned other times on my channel, due to the bipartisan nature of a couple of the Democrats in the Senate, including Joe Manchin and then also Kyrsten Sinema, the do-it-alone approach may be easier said than done. Manchin, for example, isn't going to be all for blowing up the spending or raising taxes an absurd amount on Americans. Because of these two figures in the Senate, the overall spending, and also how the bill would be funded, should change substantially over how Biden would like for it to be. In some other news, the Federal Reserve has a lot on their plate where, this week, they'll be discussing possible changes to its interest rate timeline. During meetings today, the central bank will analyze the underperforming job growth figures, in addition to the eyebrow-raising inflation, which met its highest rate in 13 years. Americans, on average, are now dishing out 5% more on goods and services than what they did just 1 year ago. The biggest chunk of this came from used cars, which are up 29.7% year over year, while electricity is also up 4%. In the grocery category, consumers are paying around 2.2% more than what they were last year. So if you've noticed higher prices while out shopping, whether for retail, groceries, or wherever else, you're definitely not alone. With that said, let's hope that things begin to cool down and get this rate of inflation somewhat normalized. Alrighty, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in today's video, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take just a second out of your day to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also ring the notification bell. That way, you'll be the very first to know when I do upload a new video. Okay, so until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.